Good evening, all. I welcome you all for the program on the future of XR for enterprises, organized by the Chamber for the benefit of our members and trade and industry. I welcome today's speaker, Mr. Srinivasan Narayanan, founder and CEO, Grahas VR for this program. Welcome, sir. I also welcome Mr. Ramesh Bhashyam, Chairman, ICT Subcommittee of the Chamber for this program. Welcome, sir. I request the dignitaries please come to the stage. Thank you. Thank you, sir. It is my pleasure and privilege to extend a warm welcome to you all this evening. Program on the future of XR for enterprises organized by the Chamber for the benefit of its members and the business community. I am delighted to welcome Sri Srinivasan Narayanan, founder and CEO Gravas VR, who has kindly accepted our invitation to be the speaker of this session. We look forward to his valuable insights on his highly relevant and timely topic. A special word of appreciation and welcome to Mr. Ramesh Bhashyam, Chairman of the ICT Subcommittee of the Chamber, who has played a key role in organizing this program. Friends, you are aware Andhra Chamber of Commerce functions its 18 active subcommittees focusing on a wide range of areas, including company law, customs, port affairs, shipping and logistics, direct and indirect taxes, foreign trade, skill development, ESG, MSME, ICT, quality, green energy, etc. This particular session has been organized under the leadership and guidance of ITC Subcommittee of Chamber. Today's topic, the future of XR for enterprises, will explore the rapidly evolving world of external reality, XR, including virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. It is useful for the enterprises to boost their productivity, to reduce training and operational costs, to enhance innovation and collaboration, to improve customer satisfaction and engagement. Our respected speaker will throw more details on the program, that is topic. I hope and trust the participant will have an excellent interaction with the guest speaker today's for better understanding about the future of XR for enterprises. With these words, I once again extend a warm welcome you all for this program. Thank you, sir. Before I request Mr. Ramesh Bhashyam, Chairman ICT Subcommittee of Chamber, to introduce our speaker, Sri Srinivasan Narayanan, to the participants. Please, sir.
Good evening and warm welcome to all of you. It is a pleasure for me to introduce Mr. Srinivasan Narayanan as the speaker of the day today. And Srinivasan Narayanan has completed his Seed Spark program from Stanford Graduate Business School of Business, and he is having more than 1.5 decades of experience in sales and marketing, IT-enabled services, and as well as after-sales services also. And also, he is a seasoned entrepreneur, and he is one of the pioneers of Chennai on VR domain, and he has started his Grahas VR, part of the SquareComp solutions in the early 2017. In early 2000, he started his company called the SquareComp Computer Solutions, and Grahas VR is a part of SquareComp Computer Solutions, and is funded and seeded by Veritech TBA, IIT Mandi Catalyst, and the Higher Foundation. And he is passionate about driving the innovation and adoption of the immersive technologies. Mr. Ravi Kumar rightly mentioned about this. And he is called in a unique smartphone-based VR headset. And recognition awards. And also he has implemented in tutorial portal. So correct me if I'm wrong. And in global, he's putting a top 100 startups in a Silicon And one more thing I want to highlight, even in August 2024, we have conducted a program in the VR, AR, and X benefit of the MSME. It is a physical event in Chennai. Now we are extending this event to other locations, Vizag, Vijayawada, and Secunderabad. It's a digital event. It's not a remote event. We used to call as a digital event. And the future of XR, the extended reality. XR is no longer future tech. It is a business edge now. And AI is going to move like anything. And AI is the supercharge for XR. With this few words, I would like to invite Mr. Srinivas Yagnaragan to take up the lead. In the future, the role is for him. Thank you.
Screen shot. Screen shot. Okay.
Before starting the session, just we want to small request. You can make your mobile phone in silent mode.
And then அல்ல ஷேர்ல தான் இருக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். வருதா உங்களுக்கு? வருது இல்லையா? Okay. Good evening, everyone. And thanks to Andhra Chamber of Commerce, to Mr. Ravi Kumar, the acting secretary, and Sri Ramesh Bhashyam, who's the chairman for the ICT subcommittee, a part of Andhra Chamber of Commerce, and the distinguished delegates of the dais, and connecting across via Zoom from Vizag, Secunderabad. Thanks for giving us this opportunity, and it's really a great pleasure to be part of this again for the consecutive year, which I know ascertains the fact that VR is growing and there is potential interest in terms of whatever the technology as a use case which can evolve and be able to adapt to the changing paradigms of business use cases. A quick background on what we do and a brief overview about our company. As a company, we are about 4 years old, but as a domain experience, we have close to say 9 to 10 years. We started in Mr. Ramesh Bhasham rightly mentioned, we were the one of the early pioneers in this particular domain in this part of the country, probably this part of the world, wherein we started at a time when Google was launching their initial prototype with cardboard-based VR headsets. That is when we started off in this space, and that proves our passion for this particular technology. And this is the future of the computing. Your the smartphones replaced the laptops and the desktops. These are the devices that are going to replace your smartphone. To give you a quick snapshot on the smartphone usage at which we have today, India ranks about third or fourth place. I think this data is from last year, wherein the overall app usage, it was about on an average, it is somewhere between 5.2 to 5.6 hours per day. That is the amount of time that we spend with our smartphones. And think of it like smartphone is a separate external device, and this VR glasses, it is going to come in the form of a glass. Probably, in fact, we are looking forward to one of the launches from Meta, which is going to happen day after tomorrow. And think of it like a device which is an external device,
can occupy about 5 to 5.5 hours of your day. Think of a device that is going to be a part of you. Probably you're going to remove your glasses only when you sleep. So the entire amount of time is going to be your computing device. So that's the kind of profound shift we are looking at. And to give you a sense in terms of the number, Meta alone has spent so far about close to 15 to 20 billion dollars with respect to VR, AR based, development, R&D, and all of these initiatives. So one single company, if they can spend about 15 to 20 billion dollars for one single technological component, think about the scale and the size in which this entire computing form factor is going to explode and evolve further. So on that note, yeah, we have solutions deployed across India, US, Australia, and Nepal, and we have solutions deployed across 11 different industrial verticals like IT, ITES, engineering, industrial, shipping. Like he mentioned, we have a solution deployed across the entire VOC port, wherein the roughly some 6 to 8 square kilometers of the entire port area, which would otherwise take 2 days for you to visit the entire port. You could wear our VR headset and experience the entire port in just about 4 minutes. That's the kind of amount of time that we will be able to save using these devices and the technological component. So the core area that we focus on is 4 different industrial verticals: training, marketing, R&D, and maintenance. These are some of the key focus area and verticals that we focus on. But in terms of the use case and application, we are only limited by our imagination. So whatever the your computer can do today, all of those can be replaced and can be done using these VR AR based solution as well. Getting into the topic, I think I briefly touched upon this last time as well, but in the interest of the larger audience, I'll quickly give you a snapshot of what all these technological terms and components mean. Extended reality, XR, is the common term that you will come across these days. Extended reality is not a technology by itself. It's just a broader umbrella term for all of these 3 different technological components together, which are virtual reality, VR, augmented reality, AR, and mixed reality, MR. When you say your computer, think of it like this. When you say a computing device, it could be your ATM machine, it can be your mobile phone, it could be your laptop, it could be your desktop. Similarly, XR is a broader umbrella term for VR, AR, and MR put together. And what are these independent individual technologies mean? And all of these 3 different technologies have their own use cases, their own applications, where you get to implement them, use cases and solutions that you can actually, kind of try to implement. So first, you could call this the mother or father of these technologies, which is virtual reality. VR is it. Like we have the device here. You wear the device, and it completely gets you transport you to a different artificially computer simulated world, wherein you will not have a visual contact with the physical world. This is with VR, which actually think of it like advanced level of 3D movies, whatever the 3D that which you see. You wear the 3D glasses and you get an illusion as if these objects are coming near you, so that it adds the additional depth element. But whereas with respect to VR, you will not have any visual contact with the physical world, because of which wherever side, whichever side you see, turn around, it is that computer simulated world that which you witness. What this lets you create any kind of digital environment and give you a sense of being there in that place without you physically moving or transporting to any other location. And the next is augmented reality. Unlike VR, augmented reality, AR, doesn't block your visual contact with the physical. With respect to the current scenario that where we are today, you need separate VR headsets, VR headgears. The common technology term is HMD, head mounted display. You need a VR headset separately to experience VR. But whereas with AR, which is augmented reality, it can be done in your own smartphones and tablets, any mobile device that which we have today. Almost all the latest mobile devices actually supports augmented reality and AR. So augmented reality superimposes the computer simulated object onto your physical space. The best example is if you look at Amazon, Amazon has this latest feature which is view in AR. If you are going to purchase some furniture or some other, let us say LED TV or something like that, you will have a small option called view in AR, which actually lets you measure, let us say you are getting a 55 inches television and you want to visualize and look how exactly if this will fit in my particular space in your living room or your bedroom. You can actually take that in your smartphone and visualize it, so that it actually gives you the size element of how exactly these product is going to look like. This is actually not even possible even in the physical storefront. You can only kind of take a sense of how it's looking at the showroom, and then you can kind of you have to imaginally in your mind you have to calculate the size and how exactly it is going to look like and all those things. But whereas with AR, you can actually point to the physical space wherever you want to hang the TV or put it in the wall mount. You can actually point your smartphone, and it gives you an actual display of how exactly that particular model is going to be. Not any TV, that specific model, whatever that you want to look at, that it will actually help you visualize it. This is kind of this is an e-commerce use case, and there are a lot of other use cases like for example, you have a watch, you want to look at how exactly this is going to look on you. If you have 100 different models, you can try all the 100 different models on your hand and point this phone and see how exactly this is going to look like. So this is with respect to AR. And the next is mixed reality. Mixed reality is actually a blend of both of these VR and AR together. Again, for mixed reality, you need separate devices. You need mixed reality headsets, MR headsets. And the latest MR headsets are, there was one from HoloLens, Microsoft HoloLens, which they don't do it anymore. But the latest, most promising ones are Meta Quest 3 from Facebook. We visit the entire port facility in about 4 or 5 minutes, which is about like I think it is 8,000 acres or 5,000 acres, something, I think. So that entire facility, you can actually, virtually visit it. And the interaction part, add the interaction parts to it. Let us say there is a CNC machine or some complex machine that which you want users to be trained on. So you digitally recreate the entire shop floor, a factory floor, and then you wear the VR headset, and whatever the physical activity that you do, you can recreate it completely 100% digitally from this, and users will get that exposure and the ability to interact with these machinery and tool without even getting into it from some other physical space. So this, what are all the the ROI in terms of the this particular application? It reduces the time taken to train. For example, in the industrial space, in fact, this is the interesting scenario how we got into this space in the first place. Like I said, I've been completely from the IT enterprise background, and when my friend explained about the time that it takes for the the HR people to train a new hire, let us say a diploma holder or a ITI worker, they spend about close to 12 to 18 months to for them to, it takes 12 to 18 months for them to handle some complex tasks and tools in a normal factory. This number was like, this is a common practice in all of these factories, and this is a common practice that happens mainly because, like all of these are highly process oriented, and you need extremely high skills to get these jobs done. And all of these missionaries are high value missionaries, and even a minute or 10 minutes or 15 minutes downtime is going to cost you like lakhs and crores in terms of the production revenue loss. So this is exactly where a technology and an application like this can help you, wherein you don't need any physical contact or exposure with these machineries and tools. Without even being there in the same space as the machinery and tool, you can actually virtually get trained on all of these machineries and tools, and you will still have the experience and exposure of getting a physical training. So this is a huge gap. So suddenly the 12 to 18 months training which is required will be drastically reduced to say about just about a month probably, or maybe even less than that, depending on the complexity and the rigidness of these processes that is involved. And the next part is, there are several scenario based applications. let us say take the fire safety example. Fire safety training is one of the most common and widely used training process across all the industrial and engineering companies, irrespective of the product and process, whatever that you are into. Safety training is a critical part because the loss to property and people, that is highly valuable. So you can't take any risk. So safety training is one particular aspect, and you can simulate all the different kind of aspects here. And nothing, you can't simulate a physical fire environment in a physical world. That's obviously not possible. But you could do all of that using these VR based elements. So you could simulate paint shop based exhibit, and you can simulate how it's going to happen in a shop floor based or a consumable based fire, and you could give them different kind of exposures and everything. So this is one thing. And even a PwC PricewaterhouseCoopers report says that the people who are trained on VR are 275% more confident to act on what is that they learn, because you wear the VR headset, you will have no visual contact with the physical world. So there is no option of them looking at the time wall, staring anywhere when the supervisor or their trainer training them, explaining them whatever that they want to do. So the knowledge retention is so high compared to either the e-learning process or on the job training, or later even a classroom based training. So whether you like it or not, you are forced to sit and watch or experiment and evaluate and do whatever is that content that which you see on the screen. So that knowledge retention becomes high, and concentration lapse reduces to a larger extent. Until unless, I out of our experience, we haven't seen anybody sleep in a VR based experience or the VR based training, which is obviously not possible, right? But whereas that is not the case in a regular conventional training. And we are not limited by training. In the interest of time, I'm just limiting to one use case per technology, but maybe happy to discuss in detail as well. With respect to augmented reality, product visualization is one great example. That is the e-commerce example that I gave you just now. And not just that, the engineers, with respect to, let us say, a construction domain, you build an entire currently they are doing it in, though the softwares that they use is 3D softwares, the CAD diagrams and everything. The visualization that they do is still a 2D device. It is either the laptop or desktops. Only when you add the augmented reality element to it, you can actually let us say you have a construction plan that is worked out, or a 3D model of a building that you have with you. So you can zoom in, zoom out, check the column, any structural integrity issues, all of the other different kind of materials that it would look good on, the paint color and all those things. These are all for the visualization part before it gets to the customers. But it can also be used for marketing, particularly with respect to the construction space, wherein you can actually demonstrate. Even we have this, they have the property somewhere like 35-40 kilometers outside of the city. So it takes almost a day to even visit this particular space for you to get a good look of it. But you could actually reduce that timeline in terms of travel, that travel fatigue and customer engagement, using both AR as well as VR. You could use VR for that product demo or the virtual visit of the site, or you could use AR, wherein you can even send them the we are even working on a product which is just a QR code based. You just share the QR code with the customer. They just scan the QR code in their mobile phone. They could actually look at how that building or that particular flat or that particular site is going to be from the comfort of wherever they are. And this kind of reduces all the travel. We have seen how NRIs buying properties in India. So even you can reduce all of that friction in terms of the customer touch points. For marketing, AR can be a great tool apart from the product visualization. And the other part is this is with respect to oil and gas primarily, in terms of remote assistance and support. So for instance, there are separate AR glasses available. So you wear the AR glass, and there is a pipe that is malfunctioned somewhere outside of the in a remote area, and the technician is sitting somewhere outside within the city at his office. So he can actually, from there, sitting there, he could visually see what exactly this particular field technician is looking at, and he can actually guide him what are all the defects and how is that he can get the defects repaired and all of those kind of things. The next is mixed reality application. So this actually enhances remote collaboration. Like how I mentioned, you can interact physically with the digital component, in the physical world. This actually lets you interact directly live. So, for instance, you have a product development that is happening. This was actually implemented in both Volkswagen and Ford in Germany and US, Germany and England, I think. Yeah. So they both the technicians will be in different global location in a different country, and they would all be working on one single product, and they would be iterating real time, like how you sit beside. In fact, this is not even possible in a 2D device as well. Both of them would be working on one single component, let us say a particular car that they are working on. Both of them, like an engineer of a different domain and an engineer from a different domain, like no, both of them would be working collaboratively on a same time, and that too, completely in different ends of the globe. So that remote collaboration and remote R&D options will actually be a great use case here. And we used to have one video, I think I don't have it here, wherein this was actually implemented for service support in collaboration with Mercedes-Benz and Microsoft, wherein Microsoft HoloLens with the Microsoft Teams, the Mercedes-Benz technician will be sitting in different end of the globe, and there will be this Mercedes-Benz technician who's working on the car live, and this he will be wearing the MR headset, and the technician will be sitting in a different place, and he will be guiding him what are all the components, and he will be able to point out. I'll maybe share that video later on. With respect to mixed reality, you can actually pull up PDF documents or the actual 3D rendering of that particular component. Let us say he has a V8 engine. That V8 engine can be, projected in using a 3D model live during this particular service. So whatever the defects or the perfect structure of this particular V8 engine, he can actually look at it in a 3D render real time while he is working on the service component, and at the same time somebody else is sitting somewhere and he is giving the instruction, looking at what he is doing real time as well. So the evolution, I think, like I said, we ourselves are in this domain for close to almost a decade now. So this is an evolving technology, but the time has been never so right than now. The dialogue has shifted from what is XR, how do I know what is the technology, what is the component, to how exactly we implement it in our domain or in our specific to their use case. So it has drastically changed, and like I mentioned earlier, XR training is superior in terms of knowledge retention, and earlier it used to be just pilot use cases, pilot implementations just here and there. But right now, the implementation has been pretty wide scale, large scale. For example, the Toyota Kirloskar that we have in Bangalore, right? Bangalore, they have implemented a complete XR training module. Only after you complete the XR training module, only after they pass this particular XR training module, they will go to the next stage in the the manufacturing process and the frontline assembly workers. So this has been like the implementation has started in a large scale rather than just bits and pieces in terms of somebody trying out to look at how exactly and what exactly this technology is, to large scale widespread implementations. And there is the urgency has started in terms of the implementation. The FOMO, fear of missing out, has started creeping in for these kind of technologies, and people and companies don't want to be left out in terms of these kind of technologies. And it also, in terms of adding to the cognitive element, in terms of how exactly it helps you integrate or improve the performance, that deep immersion into whatever you are doing. taking on the side notes of the mobile immersion that which we have today. People are so glued to the mobile and don't know what is happening around. This is like directly, you're totally glued into it and you don't know what is happening around. But there are like, two forms of the technology with respect to VR and MR, etc. So this deep immersion focuses on the attention and the key to memory, you retaining the knowledge, whatever that you consume there. And this is something called the spatial memory. When you interact with something, and the spatial computing factor where you kind of the computing format of all of these technologies together is called spatial computing, wherein you are not the computing is not happening on a device, but it is happening on your space. That's the difference in terms of the spatial computing. And the emotional tagging ensures procedure recall under pressure. We have actually developed a framework for it. I'll come to it in the next slide. So, and the intuitive 3D format, that is the key component and the key element here, wherein it is not a two-dimensional one, it is a completely three-dimensional one, wherein you get to interact with whatever the component or the model, whatever is that you are interacting. So the interaction level increases to a larger extent. And we have incorporated a format called step, which is nothing but story, emotion, and place. We have a hard time remembering some random numbers: 5, 28, 35, 65, 40, 58. It is very hard to remember these numbers, right? But let us say 25th is your birthday, 5th is your son's birthday, 15th is your daughter's wedding day, something like that. When you associate some emotional element and a story behind it, the knowledge retention actually increases. This is like the a cognitive science that plays behind this. Even you can try to kind of practice this for some other aspects as well. Remembering some random numbers is, or some random incidents, that is actually very tough. But whereas when you associate a story, emotion, and a place to it, that memory and knowledge retention recall actually increases, which is what we call it a step framework. And we have even published journals and papers regarding this. And we are also in the process of copywriting and working on that IP aspects as well, which is a component which we implement in all our solutions. So let us say take the case of a fire safety training or a leave policy training. These policies are one of the most mundane aspects that you have as a part of compliance across all the IT or almost all the large corporations and organizations. You have these policies, and everybody as part of a compliance, they are required to know all of these policies and everything. And this is actually a use case which came to us, not we went to them. The entire use case is something that it discovered us rather than us discovering it, wherein there was this large IT company wherein they were having this challenge of they were getting escalations from even from the VP level to product heads level, wherein they were not aware of the some, I think it was either a medical policy or some leave policy. They were not aware about it, and compliance requires you to be aware about all of these policies and everything. And these policy documents, they were like 45 pages and 55 pages. Nothing was like two pager or one pager, some two paragraphs that you can memorize or remember. So how exactly you make them or enable them to remember this entire policy document? This is like the terms and conditions which all of us inherently accept without us knowing whatever that is there. Maybe that is done intentionally, giving you some 150 points so that you don't read any of it, and they can have all the fine prints in between. And end of the day, they kind of get through to us through some way or the other. But with respect to these policies, it was like a compliance part, and audit had some issues, challenges for them. So what we had to do was we implemented this step concept there, wherein we kind of made it gamified and a story-based format as to somebody having a real challenge with respect to, let us say, a Mediclaim policy, and he has some immediate emergency. This is in more ways, it would resonate with that Axis Bank advertisement if you had seen it, wherein there will be this Axis Bank advertisement wherein he would be running pillar to post for this medical policy. There will be a medical emergency. He will be running pillar to post, and Eventually, Axis Bank medical team connects over a Zoom call and helps him out. This advertisement goes like this. We implemented a similar concept. Probably before that, not copying this, we did it before that, and we had a gamified approach to these policy related documents, and the entire again this 55-page document was communicated in about some 2 to 3 minutes through this entire VR based narrative. So suddenly this 55-page document, which nobody bothered about, kind of became exciting, and everybody wanted to experience it, and everybody is aware of it because it is put in this step format and there is a complete story and narrative put around it, and it becomes easier as well. So all the challenges are solved, the 100% compliant, and they are also aware in terms of medical emergencies. Those are the times when these workforce require these policies as well, and at that time the HR will not be available. But right now they don't know where to go to the portal, which exactly where are all the components that you had to look at. All of these things, it becomes easier, and the entire thing was communicated in 3 minutes, like any good advertisement wherein it communicates the entire product in 30 seconds or 45 seconds to you. A similar concept here, wherein it communicates the entire message to you through these concepts. And the other example of this step framework is the fire safety training. Let us say, if you just tell somebody to, let us take the case of a fire extinguisher. If you tell them you put the nozzle here and do all of that, it becomes either people don't listen to it or they are not bothered about it because they are not in the scenario. But whereas when you put this particular VR headset and you give them a solution, you like, no, we have it designed in such a way that we will give you a sense of what are all the different types of fire. And when you go to an industrial setup, this is actually even more a bigger problem than what we have in our consumer or household. So you get all the different types of fires and what you do and everything, and the respect to with respect to place, whatever the each segment, if it is a shop floor, if it is a paint shop, all of these different places locations are simulated, and then you get a story on what will you do if it is a cooking gas or a cooking oil, what if it's a fire caused by wood, or what if it's through you because of the paint. All of those things gets covered here, and there will be a pressure for you to act within that timeline. So it becomes more combining all of these factors, it becomes more easier for you to retain that knowledge. Suddenly when there is an actual incident, anybody can handle it. That is the actual scenario. Whoever has gone through this training can very well be equipped enough to handle all of these fires. So the avoiding all of these incidents become more easy and more effective as well. So with respect to AI, how exactly XR and AI can play a key role? It is always looked at there where whenever we have one technology, the next technology, it would look like this technology is going to take over that technology. So the hype cycle is over. So we are moving on to the next technology. For example, like a couple of years back, metaverse was the buzzword. Like 1 year, 2 years back, everybody would talk only about metaverse. And prior to that, people talk about NFT, blockchain, all of these were the buzzwords. So now people think it is a different hype cycle for generative AI and AI, but it is actually generative XR will actually grow more exponentially only after the advent of AI. All the combination of XR and AI, the effects are actually phenomenal, and the kind of content that you can create, the XR content that you can create, think of it like let us say, take an example of chat GPT inside a particular factory shop floor or anything. It can guide you, like, we say we put an avatar or some guide or instructor persona inside a virtual factory, and it can actually give you a complete tour instead of you telling the person looking at the screen, what is that, where are all the things, what is that you have to do, and all of that. It can be a virtual guide or a virtual tour. It could be for a factory, it could be for a heritage site. A lot of people have a challenge visiting some pilgrimage site or even Mount Everest. Somebody can actually guide you through all of that. The experience can be possible with using XR. Think of it like this way. uh, XR is the next revolution in terms of the front end, the user interface. and AI is the next revolution in terms of the backend. So XR is the front end and AI is the backend. Only when both of these combine, you would get that exponential cascading effect. And that too, when we are talking about a future where glasses are going to have the computing element, you will obviously have to offload the entire computing to a cloud server or somewhere else. So when you have an AI element there, it can actually help you in terms of content generation, whatever the 3D models at which you want to generate. You know that is a big challenge today in within our industry. That is a large challenge. You don't have any kind of 3D element. For example, let us say if we have to recreate this particular room digitally, it would take us a minimum of a week or probably a 10 days for us to digitally create this particular room. At least 2 to 3 days is the time that is required. Think of a technology like putting a prompt in ChatGPT, asking it to generate a 3D model of this particular room, or uploading an image and getting a output in terms of 3D version. That's the kind of future we are looking at. So when that is there, and the form factor is also changed to a glass or a much more sleeker one, even today we have a large adoption. I'm not saying we don't have an adoption, and only when we are looking at a glass is when we have the adoption. The adoption is definitely there, but the kind of smartphone killer device that would happen when you have the glasses in full fledged, probably in the next 4 to 5 years, that would definitely be happening. Yeah, and it can also, in terms of digital twin, some use cases, let us say we have IoT devices, I know fit into almost all the industrial solutions today. Almost all the devices are built with IoT. So these IoT devices can give you the data to the AI agent, whatever that we have in place. It can depict the life cycle of this particular machine. And when you have the VR headset worn, and it will tell you where exactly the defect is, and repair using the digital twin and repair using XR and AI will actually be totally different. Like there will be an entire seismic shift in that particular space there. Yeah, and the enterprise metaverse, like I said, the entire when both of these are together, XR AI together, the the global HQ concept itself will probably be there will be a lot of urban decentralization that would actually be totally be possible. The already we have seen, like in the past we used to go to one particular training center of a company to be trained. That itself is not there anymore. Like people can get trained anywhere. Even this I know particularly, and Zoom has already reduced this single meeting. I think there was some data like, there has been a reduction to about 65 to 70% for people who took travel for one meeting a day, wherein they will travel in the morning and come back in the night. That has kind of reduced to over 65 to 70%, because you can do that today via Zoom. That is not even XR or AI. That is plain Zoom, that which we have today. So the kind of difference this can do, and integrate these with all the ERP, CRM, SAP systems. So your entire supply chain, the entire data, the entire enterprise data, everything is totally interconnected here, both with XR and AI. So one part is changing the interface, and one part is kind of telling you what is that you should do and what is that you should not do. And the again, the other concept in terms of how AI is going to replace, XR can actually play a major role in how you can upskill yourself in the advent of AI. In fact, we had written a detailed article. I'll probably share that with the chamber later on. What are all the, we have even listed out what are some of the jobs where XR can help you when AI is going to disrupt that particular job. So this is like, unlike when Uber came, autos kind of I think Rapido to auto drivers, there is this huge rift that is going on, right? So this is, AI is not even like that. This is extreme level of disruption that we are talking about. Even the large scale managerial role, C-suite level disruptions are all happening with advent of AI. But XR can play a key role there for you to upskill yourself and create new opportunities and new job opportunities as well. Hmm? Sorry. Right. Hmm. Hmm.
Really improve health training and improving the production, and people have gone back to hybrid. they say, work from very remote working. But, once you the new technology, the one-to-one interaction, reduces. So how do bring this together? Make it virtual, augmented or whatever it is, or XR, or XR AI. That it involves a lot of remote, working, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah.
And then, how do you improve the teamwork?
No, I think there will be newer ways to interact. That would definitely be there. And like you rightly said, we saw how kind of COVID, everybody thought, there will be certain elements which will not see, like shopping malls and everything will not see the footfalls again. But as soon as the, lockdown was lifted, everybody, thronged to the malls and everything. So that I think that social element will definitely be there. Social interactions will be there. But the way this I think the cross collaboration which is happening now, this will actually augment it in a much more better way.
Evolving.
Correct. Yeah. It will definitely be.
Long goes by. Wow. Something can, something can come. Even if you mind, I think today there too. I don't know that.
No, I think that is a constant challenge. Everybody is, in fact, struggling. In fact, there was this recent interview from Satya Nadella. It usually be the technology shelf life used to be 1 to 2 years. Today, it is 3 to 6 months after AI. Even they are not able to kind of keep momentum with the that kind of technology shelf life that has changed. So I think that is again good as well as bad. My personal opinion is that kind of evolution will lead to some kind of a fatigue, but it should be a constant evolution. For example, the PC evolution lasted for about, say, I think 60s or 70s. That is when the personal PC era started, and it lasted till about 2010, 2002. I think till about 2010, 15. People had at every home you will find one PC. But today you don't have a need for that change to happen. Like, this shelf life, you could say that is about 50 to 60 years. But whereas with smartphone, I'm pretty damn positive you will not have smartphones for 50 years. Let us say, even if you take 2007 as the starting point for smartphone evolution, 2057 you will not have the smartphone as how you have it today. So that is actually reducing the technology shelf life, and it is actually scary. To be honest, it is actually scary, the kind of evolution that is happening. Yeah, but that would definitely be always be there, and there has to be some common balance that needs to be put into place. We as technologists and developers, like, we can take some amount of cognitive and ethical values, whatever that we can do, we will do. But at the end of the day, it is the large corporations that push through some of the innovations and some of the things which are not beyond your hand, and it is the policymakers who will have to act on these kind of things. We need to have more robust policies in terms of AI based, XR based. We don't have an XR policy for specific to Tamil Nadu today. There is a AVGC XR policy that is actually underway, but we as a company are part of that policy framework development as well. But that has already been implemented in Maharashtra, Karnataka, I think, like almost a year or two back. So, the technology adoption and evolution is so rapid, and at the same time, we need to have policymakers who are prompt and proactive in terms of how exactly they can put the checks and balances. To answer your question in terms of the checks and balances, who is going to put it there? It is actually in the hands of the policymakers. The technologies, we can only take some ethical value and cognizance in terms of how we do, like how we have this even in our smartphone. You can limit the number of hours you can use the app. Google can only do all of those things. But if you ignore all of that and if you delete it and then you still keep using it, that is within the users, and that is one thing. And it is again, if there are any, and at the same time, we can't be a country like North Korea or China where everything is controlled totally, dictatorial, and so we can't go that way as well. So there has to be a common ground, and it is the policymakers who have to decide on that ultimately.
Recently, there was an AI conference where the IT minister was sitting in the head. So we raised the question about exactly what we were so far. So when we talk about policy, the maker's role to play a policy, they are very clearly saying that the technology shelf life is very small. So when we think of creating some policy, we do a lot of R&D and micro level study. By then something new age is coming. So what we do? So we are helpless. Policymakers are helpless because the technology shelf life is very small. That's why we are unable to make a policy. That the minister himself was replying.
Okay. So actually in US, we already have an AI policy. AI governing council, everything is already established. It is the way how we are engineered to work, that too particularly in terms of government perspective. So, and AI itself, it is about 3-4 years now. I think 3 years, 2021 to 22 is when OpenAI was launched. That itself is 3 to 4 years now. And that is a good time looking at when a product or solution can get 100 million users in 5 days or 10 days, the uptick and the growth is pretty evident. And what is that it's going to do? It is that by the time we put some policy into table and by the time it gets adopted, probably the government itself may change, but we don't know. So we can't work in that lead engineering time. Unfortunately, technology doesn't wait for policymakers to draft the policy, go for the nod and get the approval. By the time OpenAI and Gemini would have launched like the 4 and 5th versions of their models as well. So that is something we have to correct. True. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So yeah, I'll quickly complete. Maybe I think early adoption leaders. Yeah, so XR strategies are, on a budgetary level, XR implementations are happening, wherein companies are allocating separate budget when they plan. Large corporations and industries, they have started budgeting for XR components as well, which was not a practice like a couple of years back. This shows how the technology is evolving and how it is being discussed in a boardroom level. Only when we have some kind of a technology or some process which is being discussed in a boardroom level, that is when you could firmly say that the technology has advanced and progress. So that is one thing. And the customer expectation is very high. I'll quickly give you an example. We had done one use case for the Radisson Blue, the one near Trident, wherein this dish called Nethily fry. And what they wanted us to do was they wanted to track the journey of the dish. They by the time they order the dish and they get it, it is about 15 to 20 minutes, and they want the customers to be engaged in that time. So what they wanted us to do was we went fishing, captured the entire process of how exactly the fishing happens and everything, and then cut to it how it is exactly being cooked in their kitchen. So what would happen is this entire journey of the dish from its origin till the time it takes to come to their table, till the time it reaches a plate. So this origin, we captured it and put it in VR. So somebody orders this particular dish, and while they wait for this dish to arrive, they will wear the VR headset and completely have a complete journey of how exactly this is being prepared and their kitchen and everything. And then by the time the dish is served, they will have the they'd even kind of had to use that sensors for them to feel the fragrance and everything. And all of this was done for a 400 rupees dish. And we kind of told this example to I think one large construction company CEO in Chennai. He said, if somebody is doing so much for a dish, for a product that's got 400 rupees, what are all the things that I have to do when I'm selling a product which is 4 crores rupees? So the kind of customer demand and engagement is actually enormous, and there is an information fatigue that is there today. We are all so informed, at the fingertips with AI and all the Instagram and everything. You have content for everything. Suddenly you have something, you type it out and AI will tell you what are all the defects. You don't have to go to a doctor. Even hospitals have started pasting posters of, please don't check this in Google, don't visit a Google doctor, please ask your real doctor, and all these kind of scenarios. So the information fatigue is there. And how do you engage with the customer? There are newer ways of customer engagement which is being demanded from the customer's end, which is actually evident across these kind of scenarios. So the customer engagement can actually increase exponentially using these technologies. And These are some numbers. These are actually directly from our number. 80% time saved on operational tasks, 40% reduction in overall training time, and we have trained over close to more than I think this number would have increased now. This is over 500 professionals, and the workforce is 4x more confidence and focused on what is that they want to do. Yeah, I think I'll skip these. Maybe you want to connect. I'll quickly give you a demo of how exactly you can collaborate in real time. Probably we have recreated a digital factory, and I'll show you a digital factory here, and you will be able to see how he's connecting it from the VR headset, and I'm streaming this from the laptop. If you have a mobile device, you can do it from that too. Like this is the cross-platform connection. This is called the metaverse. Yeah, yeah. And we will be able to communicate real time as well. Yeah, he's a co-founder and CEO. Screen share. I'll go. Correct. Right. Okay. So he's joining there right now, and this is like a digital version of me, digital avatar of me, and I'm just real time walking through. This is like a digital factory, a virtual. This is actually for a virtual walkthrough, and what you can do is you can communicate real time here from different devices, and an entire training can be done using this as well. And you can have PDF, PPT, and all the other usual materials that are required. Hi, Sriram. Yeah. So you can use this for the product explanation demo, like all the all the use cases that which we discussed so far, and interact real time, and have PDF documents, PPT, and from this you can actually travel to different domains. Let us say this is a factory and you want to visit a let us say your office floor or something. You will have that here, like a different portal. We call this like a Grahasphere gallery, wherein this is more like our website kind of version of it in a 3D format. This is like a product showcase, a 3D showcase, more like a digital showroom. You see, this is the space for us to go back to the factory versus required. These are all images. When you experience it from the VR headset, this would actually be totally three-dimensional. This is actually you are looking at 3D content on a 2D surface, but when you look at it from the VR headset, it is completely 3D for you. Yeah. Hiram, okay. Yeah, I think I just wanted to give a gist of what is that we do. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, maybe you can open it for question. Yeah.
That may force your question. You want to mention about the outflow example. Example prior to the all the data feeding has to be done alone.
Like data feeding instance, this like VR content generation, like whatever that you see, that we have to do. Like people like us have to do. Correct. Yeah. One thing is we don't create any of your training module. Like your existing training content, whatever that you have, we digitize it in the VR format.
And couple of slides I overlay of data.
Overlay of data in the sense. Like any particular point that you want to mention.
Talking about this primary example technician. Overlaying data.
Like the PDF document or whatever the let us say, for example, you have a SOP that you want to give it to the the technician or the whoever is working on it. That actually this is in fact one of the use case that we are working on. There is this industrial factory. There is a mixed reality. The quality inspector will be in their site, and the quality checking has to be for their vendor at a different location. They will wear the VR headset. They will show what are all the things like the components for quality inspection and the existing drawing, the 3D drawings, and the SOP sheets that they have to fill on. All of it will be projected in a 3D basis in a PDF format. For example, if you had looked at in the VR headset, if you look at this particular factory, you will see a video being overlaid there and a PDF document or a PPT or a Word or whatever the document that you want to overlay, those can be done in the 3D in the spatial setup itself. Yeah.
As an individual, make you take advantage of this. Where do I start with my mobile? How do I start? How will it be useful to me as an individual? What should be the top level knowledge? Where do I start and how would it be useful? And another thing is they are here, we are hearing for about 2 to 3 years.
Right.
And has it not, I mean, it has not become popular, I have not seen anybody using it. Is it so popular and is it getting implemented and used? That's what I want.
Yeah, to answer your second part of the question first, it is actually being implemented in the enterprise segment. Like I said, a lot of the industries and enterprises, that is where the actual implementation is. because you don't have a strong use case in the consumer domain yet, other than gaming. Probably if you look at all the malls and everything, you will see, it is being used in all the, there is a separate space for VR attractions. Almost in all the malls you will have it today. You will find in all the malls, there will be that Fun City kind of the separate kids gaming area. You will find it there separately. So in the consumer space, it is taking time because we don't have the, as India as a country, we are not that big of a gaming industry or a gaming economy. But in the Western countries, this is actually very popular even in the consumer household. In fact, that is where they are focusing on there. But in the enterprise segment, I know I can even probably give you a list of 100 companies that is already 100 to 500 companies that have already implemented this in India. So in India, the enterprise adoption is definitely there and it's picking up. And it will, like I said, it will take a bit of amount of time because of the form factor and the use cases for them to kind of come up to and all those things. That will take a bit of a time. And that is already, that is already being done now. And to answer your first part, was it to start in terms of development or for you to implement these in your organization? Like, wow, in which perspective? Okay. If you want to develop on this, you need to, develop some basic understanding of the game engines. There are tools called Unity, Unreal. These are the development game engines which you have to get trained on. And in terms of programming, it is C Sharp, C++. Those are the programming language that are being used. And for your implementation part, it will depend on the use case where you want to start from. You could do some pilots depending on the use case. Wherever you think, probably that probably we can have it as a separate discussion as to what are the particular use case which you think pertaining to your organization where you can get it implemented. There has to be, it is not just for the sake of the technology, but it has to be for some kind of meaningful implementation in terms of the use case. So that is something will be unique to each and every organization. Think of it like a specific ERP software being developed for you, like the billing software or ERP CRM softwares, which would be developed specifically for you. This is something like that. If you want to put it in a Play Store, that is possible. Meta has their own Oculus store where this can be listed. That is possible. But again, if it is your organization sensitive data, obviously we will not be going to put it there. So it would be in a separate application format only. In terms of the format, it would be a separate application, which you will have to install it in the VR headsets. Okay.
The thing is, if you use this, in the front exam inspection, customs inspection, in that scenario, if actually the CHA will involve the container. So if this XR device will capture the image or visual, what type of images will be recorded? The customs officers can be viewed from the office area. Is it possible?
Yes, sir. That's the quality example that I just gave you. It is something similar to that what you just mentioned. That again is instead of the customs people, we have the quality inspector, and in the your goods we have the the vendor's product there. Yeah, it would not we will have to develop a system where it can record these and give you a separate database or a CRM portal where you can monitor it. Even based on those are all like regular formats. Like the interface, how you interact it initially, just the the end level UI will be the one that would be different. But all the other back end process, we can probably have it in the same way. Even you can view it like a regular video as well in your own laptop. You don't have to you don't need the VR headset again for you to look at the recorded content.
This help aircraft because of the keeping the latest accident. Somewhere or other, could it help aircraft safety portal or any such thing? Could it help in that?
Yeah, it is being used extensively. In fact, Boeing is one of the largest implementer of VR. In spite of that, they got into all that. They are one of the early and the largest implementer of this particular technology. Companies like Volkswagen, Exxon, Shell, Boeing, Airbus. Boeing has a huge facility. In fact, we had pitched this kind of a solution to them like almost for 4 or 5 years back itself.
Even if it's an American, you need to focus more on security also. So,
But this 5.1, Boeing 737-200, that gave us it got involved in a lot of problems in accident. Similarly, there's 787. Although now about 787, we don't know what really happened. They could say that investigation is yet to be done. But 737-200 was almost a failure. That's what how much really can augment the safety aspects.
So in fact, the earlier one, which the 787, 737, right? Like the earlier one, which got into all that issue, that Lion Air crash and everything. The reason why it happened was because of a feature called MCAS. Yeah. That was the reason it was done, and the reason why they didn't inform about the MCAS to pilots and all the other airlines was to avoid training costs. That's the reason the entire debacle happened, because of them avoiding the training cost and getting it.
Also very important. When one can have comment on that. That when does India stand compared to the developed world? And more than any compared to China. And where should be?
Like in terms of this particular technology, I think we have more supply than demand with respect to India today, with respect to XR. There are about close to 100 to 200 companies working on this in India. Yeah, I think this. I'm being humble, and since I'm part of this industry, I'm actually downplaying the number, but it's actually more. Yeah. Okay.
The oil and gas, and also AI. So how do you actually secure these? That is the second one.
Like the first part is like use cases where we. y- hmm, hmm. Like we ourselves have implemented it in about 11 different industries: IT, ITES, industrial engineering, shipping, pharmaceutical manufacturing. This actually plays a key role. Then shipping and logistics and farming, hospitality. So like we are only limited by our imagination. That's the kind of effects in terms of the use cases that we have.
AI.
Data security is we use the normal formats, the industry best standard practices. That is what we do. And generative AI based ones, we used currently we are using the Gemini models, Gemini and OpenAI models. But even there, one of the biggest challenges the hallucination and inaccuracies. That is actually playing a major role. So we are not able to implement it completely, but we have already, we already have a product which has the AI assistant in terms of the model generation and, for example, all these product information which we have to manually input and feed in, that can be done using the generative AI right now.
Models, we need to focus more on models for your organization. The requirement in the security, when you take it in consideration, model plays a major role in the even when I asked even rightly mentioned about XR and A, when they are integrating with XR and A is going to be a supercharger for XR. And it is going to play a major role in XR, VR, and AR, whatever it may be. But we need to focus more on the models.
Questions from online participants? Participants? Please post your questions. No questions? Can we move on to next?
Yeah.
Please. Once more.
Thank you, well done.
I request Sri Ramesh Bas, sir, please. Thank you, sir, for your excellent presentation and detailed presentation as well, and good interaction with our participants. Thank you very much. I request Mr. Ramesh Boshu to present a memento to our speaker for our token of affection and gratitude.
I asked Mr. Sriram Kesan also to join. He's a co-founder for Grahas here, along with Mr. Srinivasan.
Now I request Mr. Barnabas Emmanuel, Assistant Secretary of the Chamber, to propose the hearty vote of thanks to us.
Friends, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks at the conclusion of this insightful session. On behalf of the President, the Executive Committee members of the Andhra Chamber of Commerce, and my own behalf, I express our sincere gratitude to Sri Srinivasan Yaganarayanan, founder and CEO, Gragas VR. Thank you, sir, for his informative and engaging presentation on the future of XR for enterprises and for the clarity with which he addressed the questions from our members. Our special thanks to Mr. Ramesh Bhartian, sir, Chairman of the ICT Subcommittee. Thank you, sir, for this wonderful initiative and efforts were instrumental in organizing this program. And I would also like to thank our member participants, for the active participants, online and physical presence from Secunderabad, Vizag, Vijayawada, for their involvement, which played a vital role in making the session a success. Thank you once again, and we look forward to your continued participation in future programs of the Chamber. Thank you.
Thank you.